What's going on YouTube? It's Noobski94 and today we're going to be talking about enhancement shamans in WoW Legion. So for those of you that are still debating on what class I really want to play at level 110 for PvP, I created a little video here for you guys to check out on my enhancement shaman, a little bit of PvP tutorial and a little bit of insight and my personal opinion on enhancement shamans right now in the game for those of you that want to look at some basic information on the class. So first off, I want to talk about the basic abilities that shamans have that make their class unique. I want to talk about their mobility, their defenses, and their general offense as a class, and their general rotation and how fun it is to play the class in itself. To start off with their mobility, they only have two real effective mobility moves at the time, which is Spirit Walk. It removes all imperiling effects and increases your movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds. Mind you, this will remove an imperiling effect, but it does not make you immune to imperiling effects. So if someone were to frost nova you or root you into a ground after the effect is active, you will indeed stay trapped. Second is their Ghostful form, which does not allow you to drop below 100% movement speed if you are slowed, and it will increase your movement speed by 30%, which can stack on Spirit Rush for a total movement speed of 90%. And then lastly, which is a talent that I personally choose just because enhancement shamans have next to no mobility, is Feral Lunge. Feral Lunge is essentially a charge. It's just a Ghostful form charge that it's similar to what warriors have, but it doesn't slow down their movement speed or anything like that. It just transports you from one location to your target location. So my opinion on the mobility for enhancement shamans, it's very low, but their damage certainly makes up for their low mobility, which is what I'm going to get into in a bit. So for the defense of an enhancement shaman, right now it is looking pretty low. You're doing okay. You can get blown up pretty quickly, but there's nothing miraculous like you've seen with like Death Knights and Rogues, the kind of defense you see with those classes. So first off, we have Astral Shift, which shifts you partially into the elemental planes, taking 40% less damage for 8 seconds. 40% less overall damage. Any type of damage you take is reduced by 40%. And if you want, you can upgrade to an Earthroll form, which replaces this move, and it makes you immune to physical damage, but unable to attack, and your movement speed is reduced by 50% for 15 seconds. I don't really like the idea of that. It only blocks you from physical damage, which is useful for compositions that have mostly physical damage, but your movement speed is reduced by 50%, and you can't attack during that time either. It's great for getting rid of melee explosive damage, but not so good for any other situation. So it's a very situational talent. I usually keep myself on Astral Shift. Next we have Healing Surge. Everyone understands what Healing Surge is. It's like the flash of light or the rejuvenation of shamans, but they've changed Healing Surge. If you have 20 Maelstrom, it will consume 20 Maelstrom to make this healing move, an instant cast, which is really great, to be honest. It's not too hard to build up Maelstrom as an enhancement shaman, and if you need health, you can spam the hell out of it. But the thing is that you're going to be spending your whole time casting Healing Surge while you're getting DPS. You might be able to outbalance the damage that you're taking in. Your mana will run out very rapidly, and essentially it's a time killer, or if you do get behind a pole or something, heal up a bit. It'll give you a bit of a spike of health, maybe 30-40% of your health depending on the crits that you receive from your healing. Overall, it's pretty good. It's great because you can cast it on your friends and instant heal a lot of your buddies to keep them up and alive, which I find it more effective as a support type defensive move rather than a personal defensive move. So enhancement shamans have a pretty low overall defense. In my opinion, those are your only two real defenses you have. And for CC, for crowd control, shamans have two major powerful ones. Major hard CCs, which is of course Hex, everyone knows about, and Lightning Surge Totem, which stuns after 2 seconds of summoning it somewhere. It's your choice where you want to summon it. It will explode in an 8-yard range and stunning everybody for 5 seconds, which is a talent where you can have Earth Grab Totem, which is a root which turns into a slow, or the Hex Totem, which replaces your Hex move. It's not an added stun, it replaces your Hex. And it's a circle where if you are inside the circle, you'll be hexed, and if you leave the circle, you'll be unhexed. So it's kind of a self-defense style totem rather than CC. It's like a CC defense kind of crossover, but it's not very It's okay for defense, and it's pretty good for CCing, but I wouldn't really put it as a I wouldn't really put it under the defense category. So now for the actual playstyle of the shaman in terms of rotation and DPSing the target. I think that this is where the shaman really shines. The shaman has an immense amount of moves that you could use, plenty of option for different situations, and specifically they have a very powerful rotation in their kit that will allow them to do extreme amount of damage in a very short period of time. And I don't know if there's many other classes, maybe besides demon hunters and monks, that are capable of dealing such a high quantity of damage in such a short period of time. So I'm going to quickly go over exactly what this rotation is as a shaman and show you a bit in the background here. So I'll hop in my talent tree first and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So if you want a better detail of the Enhancement Shaman talent tree, be sure to check out the calculator online so you could build yourself and read up all about the shaman individual talents. But this is what my build looks like. I do Windsong for attack speed, 35% attack speed for 20 seconds. The Feral Lunge I explained earlier for more mobility. Lightning Surge Totem, which is your 5-second AoE stun. Hailstorm, which allows all of your auto attacks, if you have Frostbrand active, to deal 7,000 frost damage, which stacks up with attack speed, which is your primary stat as an Enhancement Shaman. Tempest, which allows you get a move called Stormbringer, and it resets the cooldown of your next Storm Strike and makes it cost 50%. Well, this upgrades it to the next 2, which is great for bursting targets down. I'll explain more about that a little bit later. And then Sundering for my level 90. The reason why I chose Sundering is because the other two seemed very PvE. Actually, Fury of Air and Sundering are the two that I'm kind of debate between, and I'll swap between because I'm not too sure. The Fury of Air does have an AoE slow, 30% movement speed reduction with a consistent 7.2k damage per second, where Sundering hits them, knocks them to the side, which can interrupt spell casting and deals a massive amount of physical damage. I usually hit around 200,000, 250,000 damage in a straight line ahead of me. It's still a skill shot, and it does take 60 Maelstrom to spend, but it's been pretty good move so far, especially for when you're trying to do the final push down on a champion before he gets health back. And last but certainly not least, good old Ascendance. Ascendance, I fell in love with Ascendance back in Mists of Pandaria when they originally created it. It's just as good as it's ever been, as long as you plan out your rotation and perform your rotation properly without the enemy having defense. Ascendance allows you to bypass all the armor with your melee attacks, so your melee attacks does a substantial amount more damage, and it also allows you to do ranged auto attacks. This is pretty crazy because it really reduces the chance of people getting away from your character. You don't have much mobility, so having ranged auto attacks plays a huge role in being able to successfully put somebody down. You don't want a mage or whatever to pop out of the way with Blink and you can't get to him because he Frost Nova'd you, or something else that could happen like that. So Ascendance, I love Ascendance, especially with the build I have. My general rotation, what I like to do when I'm gonna blow somebody up, I mean, you try and proc their defenses, you try and proc their CC before you do any of this offensive moves. But what I will do, if they did proc CCs, if they did pop their defenses, when I want to take somebody down, it sounds simple, but it's not as easy as it looks, especially since you're such a squishy target and they're typically going to be on you. You only have a very short time to perform this move. So I'll hit the target with Windsong to increase my attack speed by 35% for 20 seconds. Then I'm going to go ahead and pop an Ascendance for the 15 seconds. Once I use that, I'm going to make sure that in my honor talents, I'm going to make sure Shamanism is selected, which allows my heroism to be casted on one target rather than everybody. Give it only a 10-second duration, but have a 45-second cooldown. I'll cast heroism on whatever teammate needs it the most, and it's going to give me a 30% haste buff, which is going to stack up on the 35% haste buff that Windsong has for me. So I'm getting a total of 65% haste. Then after those 3 moves are active, I'll use Doom Winds. This is a crazy move. It allows every single one of my auto attacks to be Wind Fury, and it increases the damage done by Wind Fury by 200%. Wind Fury, right now, it's at a 12% chance that when I strike somebody with my main hand weapon, it will do 2 additional attacks. So you're basically doing 3 auto attacks instead of 1. And what Doom Winds does is it makes every single attack strike that, but with a 200% increased damage. So instead of 3 attacks, you're tripling the damage up to 9 attacks per auto attack for 6 seconds. Every time you auto attack with Doom's Winds active, you're doing 9 auto attacks on a target. Now you can imagine how many auto attacks you're going to pump out with Heroism and Windsong active, which is a 65% haste increase in total, and with Ascendance active, where you're bypassing all the target's armor and your auto attacks are ranged at the same time, which is just insane. You stack that up with Hailstorm, which is extra 7,000 damage every single time you do an auto attack, which stacks up with the haste that you currently have active. When you're in Ascendance, Storm Strike becomes Wind Strike, and it's like the same thing as Storm Strike, but it bypasses all armor and it's ranged. If Tempest is active and you're doing so many auto attacks, you're going to continuously proc the Stormbringer proc, which is going to refresh the cooldown of Storm Strike, but I should call it Wind Strike, and give you 2 attacks with it. So you could literally, there's been times where I've spammed Storm Strike 4 or 5 times over on a target during this 6 seconds of burst, and it is unbelievable. So if you guys are looking to play a class that's fairly squishy and all around mid-range DPS with defense, but has literally a shotgun in your back pocket, an absolute burst capability under your fingertips, then I highly recommend playing Enhancement Shaman for Legion PvP. So anyways, thanks a lot for watching my review, guys. If you did enjoy the review and you found it a little bit helpful for you guys, be sure to give my video a like. It'd be much appreciated. If you do want to see more WoW content, be sure to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the battlefield.